Hello from Cat Beach Sanctuary. My name is Teviot, and I'm speaking to you today about cats, our favorite cat talks. And our subject today is kitten care. And kitten care is with a focus today on the diseases in kittens. And so here we have kitten care. And our topic, we want to make a disclaimer that this is not about uh, replacing veterinary care. It is about making sure that every cat gets the veterinary care it needs. Kitten Care 101. And so throughout the month of May in 2022, our focus is on kittens because it's kitten season. And we have lots of kittens being born, and we are overwhelmed with kittens. And we want to make sure that we're looking at the kitten diseases and the things that happen for kittens that we might be able to prevent. I've got some video of kittens at home. Let's see if it'll play. It's not playing, is it? Okay. Well, kitten care is number one, and we want very much to have kittens get the best care that they can. And let's see if we can get this to play. We've got a lot of resources. I look particularly at thekittenlady.org. Kitten Lady visited Cat Beach. She was wonderful, and her materials are excellent. I have compared them with other professional resources. There's certainly Cornell University, there's University of California, Davis, a lot of places where you can find the most up-to-date information on cat care. Maddie's Fund is a really exciting organization that does a lot for investigation of animal illness. iCat Care and PetMD are great resources for anything that you want to know about animal care. But again, disclaimer, this is intended to encourage you as a kitten carer or a cat carer to monitor the cat's health, to take basic steps to prevent disease, and to be informed and aware of signs or symptoms of illness or injury. These are the kinds of things that we, over the 10 years or so that we've had the sanctuary and been working with cats, that experience is a great teacher. And we've been back and forth with many veterinarians over time. My belief is that every cat will benefit by having at least a once a year health check from a veterinarian, and that you really need to build a partnership with your veterinarian locally. At the very first sign of illness or injury, please take your cat or your kitten to a vet. I would suggest it before you bring a cat into your home. The first thing to do is take it to a vet. Again, this is in no way intended to offer a diagnosis or to replace treatment by a professional veterinarian. Now, rescue is happening every day in all places all over the world. And there are things that you can do if you find a cat or a kitten on the street. The first thing that I would suggest is take a picture of the cat, because it's the picture's worth 1,000 words. Note the location, and sometimes we're getting reports on more than one cat, or there might be a colony of cats. note the location where it is found and also where you have it if you've captured it, and so that we can get other rescuers, other support for you to get the cat the care it needs. The next step is get it to a vet. Assess the condition. Is it sick? Has it been hit by a car? Is it injured? Did it fall off a roof? What happened to this cat? If you know that, that can help the veterinarian. Put out the story. Put it out on social media, various kinds, WhatsApp chats, whatever, and find a way of describing why this cat needs rescue or help. In many cases, cats can stay where they are, and that's where the trap, neuter, vaccinate, and return or release idea is so important, because outdoor cats really are very often very happy where they are. But we're talking about rescue cats. And to do that, to do a proper rescue, you're going to need to know the contact name and the phone number of somebody who can help us to find the cat, so that other rescuers can come and help. We have more information on the website at catbeachpenang.com on the rescue page. And of course, you're always invited, wherever you are in the world, to WhatsApp to the Cat Beach helpline, and that we will try to find the answers. We may not know the answers, but we certainly will do our best to try to find the information that you need. So kitten season is well underway. Poor kittens, many of them are born in awful conditions outside. The mothers make them a nest, but sometimes they're in the drains or inside of a car or other places. And kittens, especially the ones where the mama's been disappeared, or we know that she's been injured or maybe even killed, there are literally thousands of kittens that need foster care. Right now, we think we have probably at least 12 babies that need to be bottle fed. And yesterday we had a mother, the mother had died, and the neighborhood kids brought over another 5 kittens. And there's just not enough time or energy to take care of them. So please consider fostering. It's a short-term commitment of about 4 to 5 weeks, and we can save the kittens' lives. They're so little, but they don't have anybody to take care of them. So let's take care of them. And more importantly, for those of you who have cats at home, please make sure that you've spayed your females, neutered your males, because the indoor cats actually are a major source of why outdoor cats are so numerous, and we don't want any more unwanted kittens. Please fix your cats. Use Operation Snip Snip. In Penang, we have a cooperation with the Windsor Animal Hospital, and they have given us a great discount for females and for males, much cheaper than many other places, and that can make a real difference in the populations of indoor and outdoor cats. If you do find a kitten, please look for the mama. Don't just pick up a kitten and take it away. Look for her. If there's one kitten, there may be another 4 or 5 kittens. And the mama may have gone to get some food. She will probably be back. So give it a little time. The maximum, of course, is about 3 hours. Why is the kitten alone? Well, the mama might have been injured. She may also have abandoned them, and that happens if the mama knows that there's something wrong with the baby. They will walk away and concentrate their strength on raising the strongest ones. If she was moving to a new nest, maybe she dropped the baby, and usually she will come back for it. We've also seen cases where the baby just wandered out of the nest and got lost. So look for the nest. And usually most litters will be 4 to 6 kittens. If you can, put the lost one back with its family. and try to reunite the family, and then look for the situation. Is it dangerous there? Can you provide safety and shelter? And look at the kittens. Here is a kitten that we have um, found, that was found and brought back to Cat Beach. Uh, you look at the kitten and say, is it plump and clean? If it is, then probably it's being taken care of by a mom, and the mom might be still around. Unless you know for sure the mama has been killed, please try to capture her as well. If it's dirty, if it's thin, if it's weak, or has awful eyes like this poor kitten, if it's flea infested, it needs rescue. So put on gloves or grab a plastic bag and put it over your hand, and let's rescue. We do suggest trying not to touch the kittens directly, not because of scent or anything like we talk about with birds, but because the kittens may have illnesses, they might be flea infested. Be sure to clean yourself and you change your clothes after dealing with a newborn outdoor kitten or any kind of outdoor cat. Wash your hands, use hand sanitizer. And one of the great suggestions is just if you find a kitten that's in trouble and you need something to do to try to rescue it, get a cardboard box. Most stores, you can walk into any store and say, hey, please, can I have a cardboard box? I got to rescue a kitten. And then they will usually give it to you. Put the kitten inside, punch some holes, don't seal it up completely, make sure that the kitten can breathe. Put some newspaper or cloth to line the bottom or a plastic bag. And boxes are really good because they can keep the kittens safe and warm. And most kittens can't get out. So safety first, always. Take the box indoors. And the next step, of course, and we'll keep saying this, is get the cat to a vet. And the vet should be able to give you advice. And sometimes it's tricky to find transportation, but there are pet taxis. We've even had Grab drivers and professional taxi drivers who are kind enough to transport kittens, especially if it's just a cardboard box of kittens. Most people won't object to that. Go to the vet. They can deworm, clean, address any health issues, do blood tests, whatever is needed to give the kitten the best care. And usually they will also know phone numbers of people who are willing to help with rescue or kitten care. The reason that we want to talk today about illness is that there are big four feline illnesses. Parasites, of course, fleas and ticks and ear mites and these kinds of little critters that you can see under a microscope are killers. The fleas especially, they will just suck the blood out of the babies. The little tiny ones just very often, if they're flea infested, they won't make it. Fungus is another issue, and again, another reason not to touch the kitten directly because they might have ringworm, which is zoonotic. In other words, it can be transmitted to humans. They may have bacterial infections, especially if they've been living in the drains and drinking horrible, dirty sewer water, or just even being on the streets, they'll pick up bacteria. The big three of viruses that are real problems for kittens are herpes, calicium, and then a variant of coronavirus, which we all know from COVID. But this is not transmissible from cats to humans, although COVID is transmissible from humans to cats. This is called parvovirus, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later here. Parvovirus is epidemic in Malaysian cat populations. But you can find a lot on the various Google various sites, and you'll find out about kitten diseases and kitten season. Zoetis Pet Care had a really good article about kittens and health. The next step, of course, is to find a home for the kitten. After it goes to the vet, what are you going to do? Where are you going to take it? Are you going to take it home and try to foster it? Please do that. The more homes that are caretaking for kittens, the better off they are. You don't know what to do? Well, contact Cat Beach. We'll give you instructions. We'll give you support. There are other shelters and animal welfare organizations who may know of people who have done kitten care before, who will either give you advice or who will maybe even take them in. Sending cats to a shelter is the last resort. Try to find other options for the cat. Maybe you can find a friend who will take a cat even overnight. Maybe you can put them in boarding. There are boarding facilities for cats, and they can be expensive, but they're well worth it if you're going to get good care. And of course, the best thing is social media. Spread the word and try to get the cat adopted permanently. Again, talking about little guys, if you find a tiny kitten, the best outcome will be if you can find a mom cat who is nursing. Again, social media can be very helpful. Reach out and say, does anybody have a nursing mom? In this case, we had a bunch of kittens that came from the Mount Erskine market. We had one mother at Cat Beach who had only one kitten that had survived. And when these other babies came in, we put them with her, and she adopted them, and she started feeding and caring for them. And now they're growing up. So find a mom cat. And again, just to remind you, please take a photo of the cat. That's number one. The location of the cat so that other people can help. Where the cat was found can be very important for identifying colonies and the need for a feeder or a carer to go out to that place. The condition of the cat. Why is it in this trouble? Does it need rescue or help? And then some kind of contact name and phone number. Again, with rescue kittens and for the life of any cat, 3 main issues that as cat carers, cat lovers, we need to think about: temperature, hydration, and blood sugar. And with the little ones that are abandoned on the streets, the longer it goes without care, the less likelihood there is for its survival. And that's true indoor kittens as well. They need to eat or drink every 2 hours when they're really tiny, and then you can expand that over the next few weeks to about every 4 hours. So this is work. As a kitten carer, there's a lot of work involved in keeping these babies alive until they're strong enough to eat on their own and take care of themselves. But there are things you can do immediately. Make sure the kittens are warm, not hot, but warm. The little ones cannot regulate their body temperature until they're about 3 weeks old. Keeping it in a cardboard box is good advice. Don't let it get too hot. Don't leave it out in the sun, and keep it away from air conditioning. Try to keep a steady temperature, a high, cozy, warm, lovely temperature for the kittens to survive. They need to be hydrated, and even that first moment when you find a kitten on the streets that needs to be rescued, if you can just give it some warm water, that can help. Keep it hydrated. If dehydration sets in, it's very hard to come back from it. And that's where they do subcutaneous. They add a saline solution or sugar solution under the skin. And then the little ones, they are too small in most cases for IV treatment. So you can lose them if you can't get some food and some water into them. Chicken soup, non-carbonated electrolyte liquid. I go into the 7-Eleven and buy some 100 plus, preferably non-carbonated. You can get evaporated milk, half and half. Just add some warm water, nice and warm, so their body temperature doesn't drop, and keep them hydrated. Blood sugar levels determine organ function. And so you really need to get some sugar into these cats. The little tiny ones can survive for a couple of days if you can keep them going on sugar water or glucose powder, which you can get in most pharmacies. We've had situations where there's no syringes available, but syringes you can get from a pharmacy and just put it into the side of the mouth, not in the front, because they might swallow it down into their lungs, and you don't want to have them get congested in the lungs. But if you put it in the side slowly and let them sip, I've even used a spoon in an emergency. Water in the lungs is a danger with aspirating, but if you can keep sugar going, you can actually take the glucose powder and wipe it on their lips and into their mouths. Keep the sugar up there until you can get kitten milk replacer. And KMR is what is recommended to keep these kittens alive and growing. There, you can make an emergency homemade recipe. There's certainly lots of them online. Here's a simple one, which is evaporated milk, some egg yolks, some gelatin, Caro syrup, some sweetness. The older cats really should not ever drink milk. The little babies, yeah, you can get away with some whole cow's milk. Goat milk is less of an issue. And so we often, until we can get KMR, sometimes they're out of stock or it's difficult to find it, you can use goat milk. And this is a recipe that seems to be easy to do. You can find these pretty much in any supermarket or 7-Eleven, even condensed milk, some water, some plain yogurt, fat with fat in it because they need fat, egg yolks, and blend it up and get it warm and try to keep those cats, those baby cats in particular, keep them going. And so there's online, you can find a lot of different orphan kitten recipes. That's a simple one that, and depending on the age of the kitten, you'll need to give it richer or less rich food. These are a wonderful resource in the Kitten Lady's book about the different ages of the kittens. And so people will say, oh, well, we've got a newborn kitten and it turns out it's 4 weeks old. Well, there's a different care that's involved with each week. And so you can get into that in more depth, and we'll give you some advice. But just basically, the little tiny ones, they cannot see, they cannot hear, they can't regulate their body temperature in that first 1 or 2 weeks. Hopefully they've had colostrum in the first day from their mother, which is a special high intensity and packed with hormones and things that they need to build their immune system. So that's what they get from their mama in that first day. And then after that, they get the mother's milk, which includes antibodies against illness. And so as long as they're nursing on their mama, they're pretty well protected. By 10 to 14 days, their eyes start to open and they should be dewormed. From 3 to 5 weeks, you watch them wobble and they start to get personalities in their ears come forward. And by 4 to 5 weeks, that's a dangerous period, but it's an exciting period because they go from nursing to weaning, and they start to get teeth, and they start to be able to eat solid food. And then from 6 to 8 weeks, they're becoming cats. They reduce their milk dependence. They eat solid food. By 8 weeks, 2 months old, most kittens would be ready to go to a new home and be adoptable. Now, one thing that is a caveat is that if it's a kitten that you found outdoors and it's 12 weeks or older, it may go feral. It may not relate to humans. But most of the cats that we see at Cat Beach have spent some time with humans, whether they were in a market or found in a neighborhood, eating out of the trash cans or whatever it may be. So we try to give advice in terms of community cat control to try to grab the kittens maybe between 4 to 5 weeks once they're starting eating on their own, bring them in and get them healthy, and then find them a home. What I wanted to talk about today is common kitten diseases and how we can all be aware and make a difference for these kittens if we look at how to monitor them, how to think about kittens and their health. So you want to check your cats from nose to tail on a regular basis, especially when you've rescued a new kitten. Check it over carefully. It might have injuries on the belly or problems with walking. We've seen certainly deformities. Note the eyes, ears, nose. Maybe it has mites inside of its ears. What kind of condition is it in? Is it bright or is it lethargic? You're looking for parasites. You certainly can notice the heartbeat and the breathing patterns. Notice if there's any wounds or skin issues. Just really check over your kitten or your cat, especially when you first rescue, but also we suggest on a weekly basis. It's a really good idea. Here are a couple of kittens that came into us, and they are badly infected in their eyes, and they may go blind if you don't treat it. So you can take action right away to change their lives. So they're cute and cuddly, but they're also really vulnerable to numerous diseases. And they are at higher risk of getting parasites and diseases because their immune systems are not developed to get rid of them. So that's where, again, your veterinarian can help with kitten shots. And every kitten is different. They do say that. And so talk with your vet about which kinds of preventative medicines like Advocate or Broadline or these kinds of things that can help protect your kitten. Worm nil or Drontal are dewormers that all kittens and cats need. One thing that is difficult is that at that time of weaning, that 4 to 6 weeks really, where they move from drinking milk only to solid food, that is one of the most difficult and vulnerable times in a kitten's life. And the other sad part about it is they've usually developed a kind of personality. They might even have already gotten a name. So you might find that you really recognize them at this point. So thinking about weaning, looking at the kittens that are between 4 to 6 weeks, Kitten Lady suggests wait till 5 weeks before you get them eating solid food, but really monitor them at this stage, about 1 month old, 1 to 1.5 months old. That's a really crucial time where they need to be kept in the best possible care. They will start eating kibble. They will start, but you want to give them what they call a slurry. So mix the kitten milk with the kibble or with the solid food or kitten food that you buy. It comes in pouches, and you can buy this kitten junior food, as we call it, and add a lot of water and KMR. You want to keep them hydrated. You don't want it to get too rich, especially in the first days of weaning. We've found really good success with giving kittens boiled shredded chicken, shredding it up into small bites, steeping it in warm kitten milk or goat milk, and a bowl of that with some liquid with the milk and the chicken, and the kittens just go crazy for the chicken, and it's a really great transition for them, and it helps to prevent diarrhea, and that's one of the big killers of kittens at this age. Diarrhea or constipation, which is on the other side. Um, Dehydration is also always an issue with kittens and cats, because they're known to not drink as much liquid as they should to survive. Kittens may get badly upset stomachs and other kinds of illness that may have already been in their body, but hadn't manifested yet. This is one that comes out because the mother cat's antibodies are starting to diminish. If they're not feeding from a mother, they're going to disappear. So this is a crucial time, the weaning time. Go through a slurry, and then as in the next few weeks, you can begin to offer more solid kibble and more solid food. So a list of the kinds of symptoms to watch out for, and some of the things that we've learned over the years. Diarrhea, as I keep talking about it, one of the things that they tell us is the reason that a cat, it's not an illness, it's a symptom. And the reason can be, there are many reasons why a cat would get diarrhea. But with kittens, very often it's that change of food when they first get into new food. Worms is a really important issue with diarrhea, and just plain stress. That is one of the things that will happen. With kittens, that first milk might be too rich. So then you might alternate with a bottle of glucose sugar water, and then, or reduce your richness of the milk until the diarrhea ends. We've been told various recommendations. You should talk to your vet. But taking a kitten off of food for 4 hours to 6 hours, okay. 12 hours, you're going to jeopardize its life. But with an adult cat, that is one of the recommendations, is just don't give them any food for a while until their bodies rebalance. So if you have a mama cat that's got diarrhea, that's probably a good idea. Bad eyes, we can do things at home. We can get a tissue or gauze or a cotton ball, put it in pre-boiled warm water, and gently, just barely touching, put it on there, hold it for a bit, and then pull it away. Don't rub, because eyes are very fragile. We go to the pharmacy and say, hey, pharmacist, what would you recommend? And they've given us chloramphenicol eye drops and gentamicin and terramycin ointments. And we've then double checked with the veterinarians that those are in fact the right kinds of things to do. Always check with your vet. I'm going to say it again and again. One of the things that happens with the babies that have been outside is that they will become, especially as their immune systems are weak, the fleas seem to multiply. So the weaker the cat, the more likely that it's going to have fleas. And these are cat fleas. They're not human fleas. They don't necessarily want to jump on you. They'd want to jump on another cat. But what are you going to do? The best thing to do, of course, is to give a gentle bath, but never with the head under the water. You put some soap around the neck so that the fleas don't jump up onto the face, and carefully comb out the fleas from the body. There's lots of videos online about how to give a kitten a bath. Flea spray. We've had vets tell us just coat the kitten in Frontline. There are other kinds of things that you can do, other treatments, but Frontline is one of the best. Of course, it's expensive, but it's well worth it. Worm nil, mebendazole, parental, these different kinds of dewormers are for internal. For the kittens, we use worm nil. That's just a brand name that we know works. And from the age of 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, every 2 weeks you should do this. And we usually give about a half a mil of this worm nil to kill the parasites in the gut. As the cats get older, we move it into Drontal. We buy these pills. They're about, let's say, 8 ringgit a piece, 7, 8 ringgit a piece, and chop it up. And we can get 4 cats on one pill. The mom cats, it's really important that the queens, as they call them, the mom cats get dewormed. And that's, again, something that can be done the very first day that you find a rescue mom, and get her to a vet and have him or her, the veterinarian, to deworm the cat, the mom cat in particular, because the worms will travel to the babies. Ear mites, we've found that coconut oil is a very nice thing to put onto an earbud and clean out ears. And of course, there's professional pet ear cleaners. Another important one to watch for is upper respiratory infection, URI. And as soon as you see this, as soon as you see a runny nose, clean that nose, because what happens is that the snot will get hard, block the nostrils, the cat can't smell anymore, and particularly with adult cats, they'll just stop eating because they can't smell the food. You got to get them to a vet. You've got to get antibiotics into these cats and stop this bacterial upper respiratory infection. And they also have antihistamines that can make the less runny nose, and there are things that you can do to make the cats much more comfortable. One simple thing is, if you've got a cat with a runny nose, take it into the shower room when you take your shower. You obviously put it away in a corner where it's not going to get wet, but let it breathe the steam. And steaming is one of the best ways to open up the chest and get the cats feeling better. There are viruses that will manifest as URIs and gut problems and all kinds of other things, and they can be prevented with vaccination, and we're going to talk about that. But the big three, calicium, herpes, and corona, are mostly preventable, or, as we know, vaccination can reduce the symptoms. So if there's another cat in your house and it has URI, please isolate them from your kittens, because kittens are so vulnerable to getting it. What is an upper respiratory infection? Is like a cold, or a flu. And for kittens, their immune systems are simply not strong enough. So if you get a kitten with an upper respiratory, it's very hard to keep it alive. When they get a little older, usually about 2 months, you can get vaccination. And these are the main ones, the calicivirus and the herpes virus, that tend to cause this stuff. The vaccination may not prevent it, but it certainly can reduce the risk. Another one that is really of concern and a reason to get vaccination is FIV, feline immunodeficiency virus. And that means that the immune system becomes deficient. And it's rare enough because it's usually transmitted by biting. So they'll have 2 males and they'll bite each other. Sometimes it would be from an infected mother cat to the kittens. It can also be during that process of the birth, because it's going through the birth canal. It might pick up. That's where the herpes eye virus can happen, because the eyes of the kitten touch the inside of the mother. Or it can happen through the milk. Ask your vet to watch for these diseases. FeLV is another one that is a real concern, feline leukemia. And as leukemia means in humans, it means that there's a problem with your blood. And the cats with the suppressed immune systems or the not yet developed immune systems, which is what happens with kittens, they are it's very possible for it to be communicated to them. It's very contagious. The estimate is 2 to 3% of all cats in the United States have FeLV. And again, saliva is the main one. So make sure that the kitten doesn't have access to other cats before they can get vaccinated and time for the vaccination to kick in. It is a good idea to ask your vet to test your kittens for this and other diseases before getting their vaccinations so that you know what's going on. But the big one, the reason I'm doing this event today and really want you to be aware of is FIP. FIP or panleukopenia, also known as feline infectious peritonitis, also known as parvo. And I just want you to spend a minute looking at this side. Malaysian cats are catching epidemic feline parvovirus. Parvovirus in cats is now one of the number one killers of cats in Malaysia. And it probably is the number one killer. Of course, stress is the other part of it, and cats are more vulnerable to FIP or FP, however you want to call it, if they are stressed. And it's so bad that veterinarians now have to create separate rooms just for cats that have parvovirus because it's incredibly contagious and very hard to stop. How is it diagnosed? Well, one of the things that you see with the cats that have FIP is their body temperature goes down, and you might even be able to feel it. If the kitten's ears or cat's ears are cold, take that cat immediately to the vet. They can be different kinds of signs, and it can also be mimicked by other illnesses. Salmonella is one of those things that we see in every home. Your kitchen counter is probably covered with salmonella infection, and your cat jumps on the counter and he gets salmonella on his paws, and then he licks his paws, and oh my goodness. How do you kill salmonella? Bleach. Pancreatitis is another thing where the infection of the pancreas is clearly symptomatic, and it seems like FIP. It could be FIV, it could be FeLV infections. These infections all resemble each other. They also can look like the cat's been poisoned or maybe swallowed a foreign object. All of these things are important for a vet to be able to take your cat to a vet and let the veterinarian figure it out. Meantime, at home, try to keep your home as clean as possible. This is feline parvo, and that's so weird because up until just about the same time that COVID started, say February, March, or even December of 2019, January 2020 in Malaysia, kind of manifested by March of 2020. There was very little FIP in cats. We never saw feline parvo. We had certainly heard about dog parvo. And there are studies that show in Brazil and in Malaysia and in other tropical countries, the soil can be badly contaminated with canine parvo. And so a dog walks by, particularly, and again, this is where I'm very adamant, please do not bury sick animals because the soil gets contaminated and then the next animal that walks by picks up the illness and gets sick and then spreads it even further and probably will die. So this is where that idea of awareness of what's going on with viruses is so important. Well, this feline parvo appeared just about the same time that COVID did. And now kittens are the most severely affected by this virus. It's also been known as distemper and feline parvo, but it's different from dog virus. The dog viruses, it's not the same thing. It's not transmissible to humans or to dogs. But what it does, which is really scary, is it comes into the body of the cat and it kills the cells that are growing, particularly in the bone marrow, in the intestines, and in the babies before they're born, in the fetal kittens. And so then when they're born with parvo. We got to stop it. Virtually all kittens and cats will be exposed to this virus. If their immune systems are strong, they may be able to throw it off, but particularly that weaning age and the most vulnerable ages when they're in that first 1 to 2 weeks, when they're little, they don't even have an immune system yet. As they get older, they might be able to kick it out, and hopefully they can survive through the weaning phase. And after weaning, and they're eating on their own 5 to 6 weeks, they're usually able to take care of it. But once they reach 3 to 5 months, this is when the main time is that they get that we lose them. And it's really tragic because they've already got personalities and preferences and their color and their movement and their style really is, they've got a name at that point. And then suddenly they may just die. And there's no warning sometimes. You just wake up in the morning and they're gone. So this is where, partly because it depends on when you get the vaccination and when your veterinarian will allow you to get the vaccination. Unvaccinated cats are the most susceptible. What are you going to do? You can do something about this. It's difficult. It can live in the environment up to a year, this terrible virus. But you take some dish detergent or you take some laundry detergent, and wherever there was the potential for transmission, whether it's the bowls that, if you have a multi-cat household, as we do, certainly at Cat Beach, every bowl needs to be carefully scrubbed, particularly with antibacterial soap. That's always good. Detergent, laundry detergent or dish detergent, clean those bowls. And then soak them in bleach. And 10 to 20 minutes in a bleach solution will kill everything. This is what we do with the toilet trays. Again, every day, particularly if you have sick cats in your home, sterilize your toilet trays. Get the detergent. And one thing you have to know is that detergent and bleach will cancel each other. So wash the detergent off before putting them in the bleach solution. But if you do that, you've disinfected. And again, you can do that with counters. You can do that with cabinets. You should certainly check your walls because especially with upper respiratory infection, they'll sneeze and there'll be snot on the walls. Clean, clean, clean. First with the detergent, wipe off the detergent, rinse it off, soak it with bleach, and just spray on the bleach. And bleach will disappear. One of the things that happens with bleach is it will go into the air and disappear. That again, you don't want to have a closed room. You open the windows and let the bleach just dissipate. Any bedding, certainly the cage bars and the food dishes. Notice your hands and your clothing. If you are working with infected cats, as some of us do, not by choice, but because we've suddenly been handling an infected cat, try to get it into bleach water. Now, bleach will also bleach it. It will turn your clothes white. But there are, if you go to the Clorox websites or the other bleach websites, they'll tell you how you can handle. Most of the antibacterial laundry soaps will be able to wash out infection. But it is important that what they call fomites, that if you get virus on you from one cat and it's on your clothes and you go and you pet another cat or it's on your hands, you can transmit it. So you are a transmitter of illness if you're not careful. We also believe that infected cats should be isolated. Talk to your vet about it, especially if you have more than one cat in your home. So looking at what you can do to help kittens to survive. These very vulnerable little animals that found on the streets, in the drains, inside of cars, born on rooftops, and then the moms disappear, and so you get many orphan kittens. What are you going to do? How are you going to help them? Well, number one, of course, you just want to keep your kitten clean. And we use actually warm water on a tissue or a towel, or you can use a cotton ball. One thing that we like is putting ACV, apple cider vinegar, just a touch of it into warm water. Dip your tissue into the water and gently wipe, trying to keep the kitten dry. But what happens is that the fleas will let go of the body. It won't kill the fleas, but they will stop sucking the blood. And so it can be a great help. Apple cider vinegar, a little bit of it in a lot of warm water. So you can just smell it and you can use it to clean, and then get that kitten dry, get that kitten warm, and get that kitten hydrated and well fed. Now, again, you want to look at and talk to the vet and look up exactly how much food to feed, depending. There's a strong recommendation that every day you weigh your kitten, making sure that you see that it's gaining weight every day. But we've also seen problems where overfeeding and it gets too rich, and then you'll get diarrhea or constipation. And so you do have to monitor a little bit. Again, deworm these kittens starting at the age of 2 weeks, so about 14 days in. Usually we just use the eyes as an indicator. When they start to open their eyes, deworm the kitten. Then every 2 weeks or so, up to the time when they're maybe 12 weeks, 3 months, when they're really full cat, starting to be full cats, they need deworming, because these worms are horrible. They multiply in the cat's gut, and then they can invade through the blood system and go into the heart, go into the lungs. And if we haven't done the proper deworming, that can just, and you've never seen anything so horrible as worms coming out of either end of a cat. So let's deworm. Talk to your vet about vaccination, and I'll show you a vaccination schedule in a minute. Every cat, unless you're doing something special with breeding or, I don't know, science or something, you might not consider this, but otherwise, please, every cat needs to be spayed or neutered at 6 months, because there's plenty of cats that are not going to get spayed and neutered, and you will be able to get another kitten if you want one. There are plenty of kittens out there that need our love and care. Please monitor your kittens if you are fostering or adopting. Hopefully every day, if not at least once a week, look at the cat for its health condition. Sometimes they'll get injuries on their bellies that you don't see, or something, maybe growth in their ears of ear mites. You need to do some close exam. And we always suggest, and the purpose of this lecture is to encourage you, please build a partnership with a veterinarian. Go in for regular and, of course, emergency veterinary health checks. Every cat will benefit by it. Bring your notebook, write down, bring your phone, take pictures, and document your experience and your information from the vet. If you don't like that vet, or that vet doesn't make sense to you, go to another vet. We believe in moving around and trying different people's opinions. The answer for fighting most disease is vaccination for all cats. Get a pet health record, keep documenting your cat. Essential cat vaccinations, there's lots of things that you can read about online about vaccination. At age 6 weeks, they need to be vaccinated, get their injection. 10 to 12 weeks, again, usually most vets will recommend a booster shot a month later. So at 6 weeks and then at 12 weeks. You certainly are going to want to make sure that at least 2 boosters in the first year for kittens, and then for adult cats, at least on an annual basis. And now they're saying also every 3 years, you might even consider getting rabies shots, although it has been proven in Malaysia there's no rabies. So there hasn't been any cases since 2015. So that is less important. But you want the FVRCP vaccine. That will help you protect your cat from upper respiratory infections, from gut disease, and can make a real difference in the cat's life and in yours. We have a dream, which is that every Cat Beach cat will receive a vet check, vaccination, and spay-neuter surgery, as well as the daily care. I believe that we need cat care clinics, particularly at Cat Beach. We hope to get a clinic going, and in every community there should be low-cost or even free trap, neuter, vaccinate, and return or rehome care for cat populations. We want to recommend some resources for you. In particular, there is a Orphan Kittens booklet put out by the Kitten Lady, Hannah Shaw, and it is distributed to shelters all over the world. It is online. It is free. We also have downloaded it, and we're happy to share it. It's about 14 pages, I think, about how to take care of orphan kittens. And we want to suggest, again, go online, Google. Here's another one called All About Cats. And they have community groups all around the world. People are sharing ideas, cats' names, recommendations for cat food, comparisons of cat litter. And we want to connect and share together about cats. So please join me on a weekly basis here at the Cat Talks online at on the Cat Beach Sanctuary YouTube channel, and we're going to be growing it. And I've made a commitment that every week we will put out something to share with you, informative, fun, and I hope interesting. We've got lots of videos and certainly information about cat care and about how to raise funds to take care of the cats. People say, "Oh no, I can't go to the vet because I can't afford it." Well, there are ways that you can raise the money, and there's certainly that you could help. And I hope that you will help Cat Beach help cats. Thank you. This is Teviot Fair Service. I'm in Thailand, and I'm supporting Cat Beach Sanctuary in Teluk Bahang on Penang Island in Malaysia. Please do send us any inquiries on the Cat Beach hotline, 01+6, which is the Malaysian country code, 017-575-3419, or on the Cat Beach Sanctuary at gmail.com. Thanks for listening.